I've missed hot coffee. Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Heather and as always I'm reading with a vengeance, and as always I hope you are as well. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you so much for coming back. If you are a new subscriber, very warm welcome to you. I'm glad to have you here. I hope everybody is doing very, very well. How is everybody's reading going so far? Summer I have found to be a challenging reading time. I mean, there's just so much to do, right? So not that I ever feel guilty about curling up on the couch or in bed or whatever with a good book, even when the weather's beautiful outside. But you know, I have my husband and we like to do kind of not outdoorsy stuff, but we like to go out and find different restaurants to eat at. We like going on motorcycle rides. We're in the middle of doing an ice cream trail that I've talked about in one of my previous videos. I think I've probably been to 8, if not 9 ice cream places just this summer. But I have been doing some reading. That's why we're here. But today I am doing my set of August. August? How is it August already? Well, I mean, it's the end of July while I'm filming this, but still, to be preparing for August just seems crazy. August is my birthday month, and I never get old enough not to get crazy about my birthday. I don't know what it is about birthdays, but I love birthdays. Anyways, hey, any other August babies out there? And I'm towards the end of the month, so I'm a Virgo, but Leo's welcome as well. Anyways, what was I saying? God, shiny stuff, so easily distracted. So today I am going to set my TBR / hopefuls for the month of August. Now, it has been in the past where I've set TBRs and I don't really do well. I mean, I'll read some of them, but I'm never really successful, if you will, at reading every single book I set on a TBR, which is why I don't usually set them in stone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the little game that I did last month for my TBR / hopefuls, because I think a lot of people really enjoyed that game. And I enjoyed doing it, so I'm gonna do it again. So I have really basically 2 jars, and I got this idea from Lauren over at Paperback Empire. She's got a lovely channel, and so I'll link her channel down below. She calls it a star jar TBR. So her little papers in her jars are, she folds them origami style into stars. I think she's got 2 jars as well. I think her small special jar is like books that she's super duper excited about reading. And then these are just random books on her TBR. And so she'll pick multiple from this and then she'll pick one from this jar. So what I do is I have on these pieces of paper in this jar just random prompts that I've heard from other booktubers or seen online, just random book prompts, and they're just folded randomly. I'm not creative enough, or I don't have the patience enough to fold them in special shapes or anything. I think I had mentioned last month that I was going to maybe go back and fold them special, and well, that didn't happen obviously. And then this jar is filled with new releases. So it's kind of a special jar because I don't typically reach for new releases. I mean, I'll make note of them, I'll add them to my TBR. I just don't often read new releases unless I succumb to the hype or whatever, which happens occasionally. So I will pick a few from here, and I actually might, just because this is a list of hopefuls, I might actually mention more than one title per prompt. Once I pull a prompt, I really want to think of a book that matches that prompt from my actual shelf. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, my husband and I will be moving soon and we will be downsizing considerably. So I'm trying to read through my shelf so that the fewer books that have to go into storage, the better. So I'm really trying to read them off my shelf and then either sell them, give them away, donate, drop them off at little free libraries and what have you. Oh, one more admin thing that I wanted to get to before we get started with the books is I mentioned in my last video that I reached 500 subscribers and I'm super tickled by it. Thank you so much. for supporting my channel, and I'm really just happy to offer content that 500 of you are interested in. So yay, thank you so much. And to celebrate that, I think one of my previous videos I had asked you all what would be fun to do to celebrate 500 subscribers. I think most of you said a Q&A would be good. I think that's what a lot of booktubers do. And so yeah, I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon because that's what I do, as you know. Yeah, I'll do a Q&A. Sort of. I think I've decided to do is I will open it up to you guys. If you have a burning question that you must know, please feel free to put it down in the comments, and whatever you want to know, I'm an open book. So any questions that you have for me, go ahead and put it down in the comments, and I will include that question in the Q&A that I record eventually. But then I'm also going to combine it with a tag that I was tagged in actually a couple of months ago by Gloria over at Gloria Z. Thompson. I love her. She's got a glorious channel. She's just lovely. I love watching her videos. And she tagged me a couple months ago in like a get to know me tag. And I didn't do it right away just because I had just done a tag that asked a bunch of questions about me. I just didn't want to do it so soon. I wanted to wait a little bit before I put out another video that is basically a get to know me tag. So I'm going to combine your questions that you give me here in the comments below with that tag. I might do something a little creative as far as how I record. I won't mention it here because I want it to be kind of a surprise. It'll be kind of a creative, fun, hopefully fun for you video. But anyways, anything you want to know, please put it down. So let's get started with what I hope to read in the month of August. Actually, the first two books I'm not going to draw from quite yet. There's two books that I know that I'm going to be reading in the month of August, and one is because of a challenge that I've been doing that I've mentioned many, many times before, and then another is a read-along that I've just decided to do. So the first one, the reading challenge that I've been doing, it's a year-long reading challenge that is hosted by Chantel over at Chantel Reads All Day. I will link Chantel's channel, and I'll try to link her announcement video for this read-along, and it's a year-long read-along, and every month there's a different prompt, which I have been doing, and it's been super fun. And the prompt for August is read a book with a body part in the title, which I think is wonderful. And I'm super excited for the one that I've picked. I looked in all of my shelves, and I only have one book with a body part in the title, and it's a book that I've been really, really excited to read. And that is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. This book has really been talked a lot about on Booktube. Reading with Matthew, he talked about this book. And I can't remember how, I want to say that I heard about it first from Leanne over at Literary Diversions, but who knows? I mean, there have been so many booktubers who've talked about this book, and it just sounds really, really good, and I'm super excited to finally get to it. I had planned on reading it around September, October, because I want to save all my spooky books for that time, but yeah, I can't wait any longer, and it matches the prompt, and so I'm gonna read it. I have plenty of spooky books, so this one I can read immediately. And it's got a little blurb by Lisa Gardner on the front, who I love Lisa Gardner. I've mentioned her on my channel before. I've read quite a few of her books. It says riveting characters, chilling details, and gasping twists, a standout thriller. I'm sure most of you are familiar with what this book is about, but I'll read you a little bit from the back. How far will someone go to bury their secrets? Angela Wong, one of the most popular girls in school, disappeared without a trace. Nobody heard from her again, not her best friend Georgina Shaw, and not Kaiser Brody, who was close with both girls. 14 years later, Angela's remains are discovered in the woods near Gio's childhood home. Kaiser, now a detective with Seattle PD, finally learns the truth. Angela was a victim of Calvin James. To the authorities, Calvin is a serial killer, but back in high school, he was Gio's first love. Turbulent and volatile, their relationship bordered on obsession from the moment they met up until the night Angela was killed. Gio knew what happened to Angela and told no one. What? For years, Gio carried the secret of Angela's murder until she was arrested and sent to prison. And now, just as she's being released, new bodies are turning up, killed in the exact same manner as her best friend. Oh, goodness. Yes, I've heard much about this, and I can't wait to read this. The next book that I know I'm going to read in August, I'm doing a read-along with the very lovely Nikki over at Red Dot Reads. I have mentioned her channel before. I love her channel. I love her videos, and she's just a lovely, lovely person. I had mentioned this book that I'm about to talk about in a previous video, and I think she commented, she asked if she wanted to do not a read-along, what is it called? Buddy read. Oh my God. Getting older is not for sissies. Nikki had asked if I wanted to do a buddy read for this particular book, and of course I snapped right up on that opportunity. So we finally connected, and we're going to buddy read The One by John Mars. This is also one that has been talked a lot about on Booktube, and I have been meaning to get to this book for a very long time. They did do a limited series on this, and I've heard not so great things about it. Have you guys seen it? How does it compare to the book? Anyway, so yes, I am very excited to finally have a solid reason to get to this book in August. So this is a definite for August. This is a set in stone on my TBR book that I'm going to read in August. I'm going to read it with Nikki. I'm sure most people know what this one's about, and this one's kind of like a sci-fi-ish. So a simple DNA test is all it takes, just a quick mouth swab, and soon you'll be matched with your perfect partner, the one you're genetically made for. That's the promise made by Match Your DNA. A decade ago, the company announced that they had found the gene that pairs each of us with our soulmate. Since then, millions of people around the world have been matched, but the discovery has its downsides. Test results have led to the breakup of countless relationships and upended the traditional ideas of dating, romance, and love. Now 5 very different people have received the notification that they've been matched. They're each about to meet their one true love, but happily ever after isn't guaranteed for everyone because even soulmates have secrets, and some are more shocking than others. Sounds like so much fun. This sounds like it would be a really great book club book. Like, what would you do? So that's a definite for August. Okay, let's get to the colorful jar. Again, like I said, there's prompts in here. So once I pull a prompt, the choice will be mine as to which one matches the prompt. So let's get in here. Read a romance. Okay, so I don't read a lot of romances, and I don't have a whole lot on my shelves. If any. Do I have any? Let me go. I'm going to have to take a look. Aha! I was able to find one, and I'm actually looking forward to this one. So I picked out The Switch. Now, I had this on my shelf because I read The Flat Share. You know, Beth O'Leary is a Booktube darling. I read The Flat Share first, and I really enjoyed it. It was really a lovely romance, super cute, and I liked her writing. And so I think I ended up getting this pretty soon after I finished The Flat Share. And I just love this cover. I feel like I've talked about this on one of my previous videos. I just don't remember what it was. Eileen, newly single and about to turn 80, would like a second chance at love, but her tiny Yorkshire village doesn't offer many eligible gentlemen. Then in bustling London, Eileen's 20-something overachiever granddaughter, Lena, is ordered to take 2 months sabbatical after blowing a big presentation at work. Once Lena learns of Eileen's romantic predicament, she proposes a solution, a 2-month swap. Eileen will live in London and look for love. Meanwhile, Lena will rest and take care of things in rural Yorkshire. But trading places isn't as easy as either of them expected. Will swapping lives help Eileen and Lena find themselves and maybe even find love? Sounds a lot like The Holiday, that movie with Cameron Diaz, Jack Black, and Kate Winslet. Super cute holiday movie. If you haven't seen it, a little bit different, but kind of similar. Hopefully I'll be able to get to this one. But you know what? Now that I think about it, there's another romance on my TBR, and that's saying something because, like I said, I don't read a lot of romance. I don't gravitate towards them, but I have succumbed to the hype on one in particular, and I know it's on my hold list on my Libby app, and I put it on my hold list in September of last year. And I just noticed the other day that there's only like 2 weeks left of waiting time left. So it actually will probably become available in August. And if it does, I think I'm gonna finally get to it. And that is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So as far as Booktube darlings and way hyped books, I mean, this is the cream of the crop, right? Everybody has read this book. Everybody's talked about this book. And I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on it here, and that might be a lie. Hopefully I haven't hyped it up too much, or it hasn't been hyped up too much that it'll end up being a disappointment. But I mean, millions and millions of people can't be wrong, right? Famous last words. So if you've been living on the moon for the past however long, I'll go ahead and read you a little synopsis. And that is, sometimes it is the one who loves you who hurts you the most. Lily hasn't always had it easy, but that's never stopped her from working hard for the life she wants. Oh my God. She's come a long way from a small town in Maine where she grew up. She graduated from college, moved to Boston, and started her own business. So when she feels a spark with a gorgeous neurosurgeon named Ryle Kincaid, everything in Lily's life suddenly seems almost too good to be true. Ryle is assertive, stubborn, maybe even a little arrogant. He's also sensitive, brilliant, and has a total soft spot for Lily. And the way he looks in scrubs certainly doesn't hurt. Oh my God, it's so romance genre, right? Lily can't get him out of her head, but Ryle's complete aversion to relationships is disturbing. Even as Lily finds herself becoming the exception to his no dating rule, she can't help but wonder what made him that way in the first place. As questions about her new relationship overwhelm her, so do thoughts of Atlas Corrigan, her first love, and a link to the past she left behind. He was her kindred spirit, her protector. When Atlas suddenly reappears, everything Lily has built with Ryle is threatened. Okay, so as far as romance novels go, if that becomes available on my Libby app, I will definitely be listening to that in August. So I actually might be reading both romances in the month of August. We'll see. You know, so often I have myself something to drink while I'm recording, and a lot of times, unless my throat gets dry, it sits there and either gets cold or watered down with the ice, whichever the case may be. I'm making a conscious effort to not let my go juice go to waste. Let's pick another prompt, shall we? Read a mystery. Not too complicated with these prompts, I know, pretty simple, but I mean, I had a lot to come up with. Hopefully some of the more creative ones will come up in this video. No promises though. All right, read a mystery. You know what? I have a few. I mean, mystery thriller is kind of my go-to. I gravitate towards those books more than anything else. Of course, Jar of Hearts kind of meets that, but I'm not counting that. So let me see. Let me go have a look. So I picked this one because it's been on my shelf for a very long time, and I have wanted to read the series for a very long time. And that is The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. Everybody knows who Robert Galbraith is. And I'm sure everybody is familiar with this series. And this is a Cormoran Strike novel. I guess Cormoran Strike is the name of is he a PI or a police detective? I think he's a PI. Yes, I've wanted to read the series. I've wanted to get into another mystery series that kind of follows the same like police person or an investigator type person, and this kind of fits the bill perfectly. Like I said, TBR is not set in stone, but this one I will probably grab before I grab, say, a romance, but who knows. When a troubled supermodel falls to her death from the balcony of her London home, it is assumed that she has committed suicide. However, her brother has his doubts and calls in private detective Cormoran Strike to investigate. Strike is a war veteran, wounded both physically and psychologically, and his private life is in disarray. Isn't that always the case? The case gives him a financial lifeline, but it comes at a personal cost. The more he delves into the young model's world, the darker things get and the closer he comes to terrible danger. Yes, I am here for a suspense mystery. However, I have two books that I have on hold on my Libby app that fit this bill as well. And if they become available in August, I will be listening to them. The first is Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaghy. I'm sure most people have heard of this book, and it has been on my TBR. I feel like it's been on my hold for several months as well, and I think it's getting close to it. I tend to get through more audiobooks than physical books for obvious reasons. Yeah, pretty much if it becomes available on my Libby in the month of August, I will be reading it. So I will talk about the books here. So Once There Were Wolves, a lot of people are familiar with this one, but real quick synopsis. Inti Flynn arrives in Scotland with her twin sister Aggie to lead a team of biologists tasked with reintroducing 14 gray wolves into the remote Highlands. She hopes to heal not only the dying landscape, but Aggie too, unmade by the terrible secrets that drove the sisters out of Alaska. Inti is not the woman she once was, either changed by the harm she's witnessed, inflicted by humans on both the wild and each other. Ooh, I think this one's gonna be hard for me to read. Yet as the wolves surprise everyone by thriving, Inti begins to let her guard down, even opening herself up to the possibility of love. But when a farmer is found dead, Inti knows where the town will lay blame. Unable to accept her wolves could be responsible, Inti makes a reckless decision to protect them. But if the wolves didn't make the kill, then who did? And what will Inti do when the man she's falling for seems to be the prime suspect? Ooh, okay. If you've been watching any of my videos, you know that I have a really hard time reading about bad things happening to animals. Bad things can happen to humans all day long, and my stone cold heart can get through it somehow. But when animals are harmed, it's hard for me. But I do want to read this book, and so if that becomes available, I will be reading that one. Other one I have on hold that looks likely to be made available in August is also a very, very popular book on Booktube, and that is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. I initially had plans to read it as a physical book because I think some thrillers, I feel like they're meant to be read on the written page and really like delved into and lost in the story. You know, your focus should be right there with the words on the page. But I've heard that The Last House on Needless Street is a really, really good audiobook. So that's when I put it on hold, and I think it will become available in August. This is the story of a serial killer, a stolen child, revenge, death, and an ordinary house at the end of an ordinary street. All these things are true, and yet they are all lies. You think you know what's inside The Last House on Needless Street. You think you've read this story before. That's where you're wrong. In the dark forest at the end of Needless Street lies something buried, but it's not what you think. I love how vague that is. Super exciting. Maybe I'll just pick one of those mysteries. Maybe I'll read all three of those mysteries. Who knows? All right.
Let's pick another prompt. Please be creative. How about this red guy here?
Read a debut novel. Okay, so that's gonna take a little bit of research. Got it. Picked Members Only by Samir Pandya. I can't remember why I picked this book up. It's a beautiful cover. I love the colors. That's a tennis ball right there. And it's got that yummy waxy feel that I love so much on a cover of a book. So Samir Pandya, he is, I believe he has a collection of stories out, but this is his first novel. Raj Bhatt is often unsure of where he belongs. Having moved to America from Bombay as a child, he knew few Indian kids. Now middle-aged, he lives mostly happily in California with a job at a university. Still, his white wife fits in better than he does at times, especially at their tennis club, a place he cautiously loves. It's there that in 1 week his life unravels. It begins at a meeting for potential new members. Raj thrills to find an African-American couple on the list. He dreams of a more diverse club. But in an effort to connect, he makes a racist joke. The committee turns on him, no matter the years of prejudice he's put up with. Worse still, he soon finds his job is in jeopardy after a group of students report him as a reverse racist, thanks to his alleged anti-Western bias. Oh my, heartfelt, humorous, and hard-hitting, Members Only explores what membership and belonging mean as Raj navigates the complicated space between Black and white America. That is definitely going to be an interesting read. I have not seen any other booktubers talk about this book. Have you guys heard of this? Have you read it? I'll be really excited to read a book kind of going in blind, not really hearing what anybody else talks about. I hope I can really get to this one, but it is definitely going on my TBR/hopeful pile. Okay, one more random prompt before we get to the special jar.
Let's go for this green one down here.
Okay, this is a little bit more creative, thankfully. It says, read a book that centers around a major historical event. Okay, major historical event. I think I got it. Be right back. Came up with November Road by Berney. This is a book of the month club, and it has the major historical event right on the cover. If you can't read it there, it's kind of blowing out there. And it centers around, it looks like the Kennedy assassination. So a friend of mine gave me a Book of the Month subscription for my birthday, I think last year. It was a 6-month membership, and I didn't hold on to it. After 6 months, I canceled it. But then she's also sent me some of the books that she got in her membership. I have not heard of anybody else talking about this book. Oh, it looks like it was Book of the Month in September 2018. So it's way before my booktubing time, even before I started watching Booktube. Frank Guidry's luck has finally run out. A loyal lieutenant to New Orleans mob boss Carlos Marcello, one of the most powerful and dangerous men in America, Guidry has learned that everybody is expendable, but now it's his turn. He knows too much about the crime of the century, the assassination of President JFK. Within hours of JFK's murder, people with ties to Marcello are turning up dead, and Guidry suspects he's next. He was in Dallas on an errand for the boss less than 2 weeks before the president was shot. With few good options, Guidry hits the road to Las Vegas to see an old acquaintance, a ruthless man who hates Marcello enough to help Guidry vanish. Maybe. Guidry knows that the first rule of running is don't stop, but when he catches sight of a woman on the side of the road with a broken down car, 2 young daughters, and a dog in the back seat, he sees the perfect disguise, a way to cover his tracks and outrun the hitmen on his tail. Posing as an insurance salesman, Guidry offers to help Charlotte reach her destination, California. If she accompanies him to Vegas, he can help her get a new car. For Charlotte, it's more than a car, it's an escape. She's on the run, too, from a stifling existence in small-town Oklahoma and a husband who's a hopeless drunk. It's an American story. 2 strangers meet to share the open road west, a dream, a hope, and find each other on the way. Charlotte is drawn to a man who's open-minded and kind. Guidry is attracted to a woman who's smart and funny. He learns that she's determined to give herself and her kids a new life. She can't ever know that he's desperate to leave his old one behind. I don't know why I haven't read this sooner. That sounds amazing. This one sounds really, really good. Oh my God, so many good books, so little time. You know me, I love a good historical fiction. So yeah, I think the last book that I read surrounding the JFK assassination was 11/22/63 by Stephen King. That is such a great book. But anyways, I think that might be the only book that I can think of that surrounds the JFK assassination. So this will be good. I look forward to reading it. Interesting cover. This child hanging out a car window, which is like super nostalgic for me. I was a child during the day where seatbelts were not mandatory, and yeah, I've hung out a car window a time or two in my life. Anyways, excited to read that one. Okay, let's get to the special jar. New release. Here's the special jar. Yes, so here we go. This one always makes me nervous because I don't know why. I think it's because this will actually pick the book. It's not a prompt. There are actual book titles in here, so it's telling me you will read this, allegedly.
Here we go.
Okay, Recursion by Blake Crouch. I have read one other book by Blake Crouch, and it ended up being like in my top 5 favorites from 2021. And I read Dark Matter, which was fantastic. And I'm not even really that into sci-fi. Between Dark Matter and The Martian, both those books were just absolutely outstanding, which just kind of goes to show you can't really pigeonhole yourself in a genre that you stick to. It's so good to step outside your comfort zone and read something that you don't think that you will enjoy just because of the genre it falls into. And I started doing that in the pretty recent past, and I am so thankful. It really has led me to some really wonderful stories. Recursion. So I'm really excited to read this because, like I said, I've only read Dark Matter, and when I finished that book, I knew I was going to read all of Blake Crouch's other books. Why I haven't, I don't know. But now I will get to Recursion, which is a fairly new release. Okay, it says published in 2019. 3 years. Is that really a new release? It is to me. I'm sorry if I've let you down if you were expecting a new release like release this year. But new release to me, I guess, would be like the last, I guess 3 years would be the outermost to be considered a new release. I don't know. Don't judge me. Memory makes reality. That's what New York City cop Barry Sutton is learning as he investigates the devastating phenomenon the media has dubbed false memory syndrome. A mysterious affliction that drives its victims mad with memories of a life they never lived. That's what neuroscientist Helena Smith believes. It's why she's dedicated her life to creating a technology that will let us preserve our most precious memories. If she succeeds, anyone will be able to re-experience a first kiss, the birth of a child, the final moment with a dying parent. As Barry searches for the truth, he comes face to face with an opponent more terrifying than any disease, a force that attacks not just our minds, but the very fabric of the past. And as its effects begin to unmake the world as we know it, only he and Helena working together will stand a chance at defeating it. But how can they make a stand when reality itself is shifting and crumbling all around them? As I said, I have learned that just because it's not in my comfort zone genre-wise doesn't mean I'm not going to love it. So I'm super excited for it. So that is it. These are the books in my hopeful pile for the month of August, along with the audiobooks that I mentioned. So it looks like a very promising stack. Have you read any of these books? And if so, do you have any thoughts on them? Are there any of these that you think that I should reach for first? Are there any that you are excited to hear my thoughts on? Please feel free to put any comments down in the doodly-doo. If you're still watching at this point, please feel free to give that like button a boop, and a subscribe would be wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you all being here, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.